Need 60 votes. Obviously, they need some Democrats to vote along with the Republicans. Does it tell you anything that they're calling that vote at 7? Do you think they have the numbers?
Well, one, under normal circumstances, would say the heads have been counted and they know where the votes are. With this proviso, if the idea is to go ahead with the vote and then run outside and blame Democrats for, or and vice versa, for the government shutdown, it would be such a tremendous insult to the American people, but we don't know what's at play.
Yeah, the vote is scheduled to take place at 7 o'clock tonight, about an hour away from now. What do you expect to see on the Senate floor? Well,
you're going to see a roll call, and senators will yay, nay, but what you can look for, what viewers can look for, are really a lot of the sidebars that go on. They're twisting arms right up to the time that senator votes, and if somebody's wavering, they have to hold them, and if somebody's maybe going to move, they've got to try to tip them over the edge.
Well, Brian, what does your gut tell you? Do you think we're headed for a shutdown?
It's a tough call, but I want to think that they have enough to do at least a short-term continuing resolution, which, by the way, is number 4 now.
It just puts it off for.
Yeah, this could go on and on and on. What's the incentive to get lawmakers to come together and reach a deal?
Well, pretty soon we have to start seeing some leadership emerge in Washington, and we're not seeing it. What we're seeing is posturing, and by both parties, so it's kind of a pox on both their houses, and we're seeing that in some reactions from around America, whether it's blue states or red states. People are first very frustrated.
It's interesting that you mentioned the word leadership. I want to put up a quote now. This was from Donald Trump back in 2013 when there was also a government shutdown. This is what Donald Trump said back then. Well, if you say who gets fired, it always has to be the top. The problems start at the top, and they have to get solved at the top. And the president is the leader, and he's got to get everybody in a room, and he's got to lead. Why haven't we seen everybody in a room trying to figure this out?
It's a great question, and I would add that when Donald Trump said that, he said that absent of knowing much about what goes on in Washington, D.C., especially during one of these fights. The American people expect everybody to get into a room and work it out, but there's a lot of other things at play. DACA just being one of them, but military spending, a whole host of things where people are taking stands, including Rand Paul, who just thinks we're spending too much money as a country.
The president did get together. He met with Senator Chuck Schumer today. Trying to reach out to Democrats, but still, Chuck Schumer said they did make some progress, but still a lot more to do. Where do you see the DACA issue going? Because that's been one of the big sticking points between Republicans and Democrats, not being able to reach a compromise on the protections for the DACA recipients.
Right. Actually, there's a lot more agreement on the basic principles of DACA, but trying to get it into the bill and pass it is where you're running into the fight. We will have to see how that goes. If DACA is not a part of it, Republicans, in a sense, get to claim victory, and vice versa if it ends up in there.
Well, let's hope they come up with something, because, again, this affects real people.
Oh, absolutely.
And it has serious ramifications.
Well, the first cut's going to be about 800,000 federal workers that will not have a paycheck, and then increasingly, as days go on, more people are affected.
Just, Brian, before we let you go, as this continues to go on, if they don't reach an agreement, who stands to lose the most, Republicans or Democrats, in the next election cycle?
Well, the Democrats' calculus is at midterms, the Republicans will pay for this, because they have they are in the majority in the Senate, the House, and they have the Republican in the White House. Why didn't they get the job done? That's going to be the cry there. Republicans are going to say Democrats were recalcitrant and would not come along and even compromise.
Just seems like they shouldn't be worrying about that. They should be worrying about coming up with a compromise.
Absolutely.
And getting this fixed. Brian,
well,
thank you.
The clock is ticking. The midnight deadline. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brian, thank you.
You're very welcome.
President Trump and other